Let's have a snack together and talk about picky eating.
I will say this is not direct medical advice to you. This is just me speaking from my own experience and talking about things I've read in the research.
Number one, a no thank you bowl or plate. To understand this, we're going to have to explore a little bit of something called systematic desensitization. Systematic desensitization is a therapeutic approach that basically slowly lowers your inhibitions to something over exposure. For example, if someone is afraid of eating an orange, I'm not going to start off by saying, let's peel it up and open it today. The very first time I might see them, I might start off with, let's just touch it and see how it feels. Or maybe even, you don't need to touch it yet, but I'm going to peel it and, oh, it's a pretty strong smell. It smells sharp and bright, fresh. So, systematic desensitization is just slowly lowering inhibitions to something. Essentially, it's making you less afraid of something. So, coming back to that safety plate, if I put something on a child's plate that they don't want to eat, the practical approach to this is, hey, it's okay, you don't need to eat it, but go ahead and take it off of your plate. You can touch it, it's not going to hurt you. Pick it up, take it off of your plate. You might not be ready to jump to this safe no thank you plate quite yet. If there is a child who has really severe food aversions or sensitivity aversions, maybe they're not ready to pick a food up and take it off of their own plate, but the same concept applies. You might begin by having them look at it, smell it, maybe touch it. This is gradually exposing them to that food. And when they pick it up, sometimes they might smell it. It might be on their hands. They might lick it off. They might say, oh, actually, I want that. A number two practical approach is having a safe food on a child's plate. So if you are prepping food for a child at home and that maybe they have an aversion to a certain texture and that's what is for dinner, providing a certain safe food on their plate is a good strategy. This is twofold. One, they have something that they will eat. So just from a practical reason of raising kids, this might create less of a battle. But the second overarching part that would be beneficial to this is by giving them a safe food, you have then decreased your own mental load of having to make them a different meal or trying to get a different snack after the mealtime is all over. I would really try to enforce mealtime boundaries. On this same note of providing a safe food, if they have that safe food, if it was made available to them, that might be the only thing that they're able to eat that night. That's okay. But I wouldn't keep providing snacks afterward. Number three, I would allow your kids to play with some of their food, not throwing it, not making a big deal out of it, but being playful in your approach to food. Maybe instead of a fork, you use a toothpick. Maybe you set up your seating arrangements that night. Perhaps you cut up the foods a little bit differently. Kids learn through play. So if there are some intense oral aversions, letting them again taste, touch, play with it a little bit is appropriate within a respectful boundary. I would never advocate for a kid to be allowed to throw foods at a table or to be able to play with it to the point that they, for example, have mixed all their foods together and they're no longer going to eat it because that's a disgusting mess. On that same note, try to incorporate play with foods outside of meal times if possible. Let them make the foods with you. Perhaps you can let them practice cracking an egg, or if you are practicing counting with their numbers, have them count certain foods out. Like, this is again using that systematic desensitization approach without them knowing it, because you are slowly exposing them to foods that they might not already be interested in. Another thing I would tell parents is do not lie about the foods that you are giving them. You can come up with fun names for broccoli. You could call that a green crown. You might say, let's build a castle with our sticks, which are French fries. But I would not try to get them to eat a sweet potato and say, come on, just try it. It's ice cream. This breaks down trust. And that is the last thing we want to do with someone who already has sort of aversion to foods. We want to raise children who are able to advocate for themselves. And so the mealtime should hopefully be a safe environment where they are able to do that. Something that we do in our therapy sessions is that we talk about how something might feel and we talk about sensory things, but I try to avoid words like yum and yucky. Assigning an overall desire to a food might be very quick to shut it down. So instead of me saying, "Ooh, this orange is yummy or yucky," I might say, "Oh, it's smooth, it's wet and juicy, it's layered." There are so many ways that we can speak about foods other than just saying yuck and yum. I touched on this one earlier, but involve kids in the prep of food. The more that they see how a food is made, the more exposure there is. One, it's just exciting because they were involved in it. And two, again, they're being systematically exposed to this food during the prep time. Perhaps they can help with a kid's knife and they can cut the foods with you. They can drop the pasta into the water at a safe distance, obviously. There's so many ways to get kids involved. Maybe they can bring a certain food to their own play kitchen and pretend to play with it or mix it up. Research shows that the more a child is gradually exposed to the foods that you are trying to have them eat, the more likely they are to do that. Not to make a huge deal out of the successes. I have done this with my own kids. If I feel like my daughter is finally eating something green, I might turn to my husband and make a big deal out of it. And she just gets a little turned off to that. She might then push it away and notice that I was so excited. So even with those successes, definitely celebrate in your head because that's a big deal. But try to just be chill about it. It places a lot of pressure on kids when you make something seem like the whole entire mealtime is revolving around that one positive act. The last overarching thing that I want you to remember is that kids are humans too. And why am I saying that? Because maybe you tried to give them an orange one time and there was still some peel on it. And honestly, the orange peel is disgusting. They're not going to like those oranges anymore. But what they don't know is that this wasn't supposed to be on there. They just don't know that yet. So remember that there are certain things that as they learn, as they watch you, they will become more accustomed to the eating norms of our world. But some things they just don't know yet. If they're struggling with fruit, think about picking up a blueberry or a raspberry out of a carton. The first one you eat might be sweet, but that second one might be super sour and squishy and disgusting. That's a little bit unpredictable. So that's another example of something that they might just not know yet. So I would give them patience and give yourself patience too as you try to figure this out. Some overall things to look out for and be concerned about would be extreme distress around meal times, major swallowing difficulties or gagging, a seemingly extreme oral aversion where they do not want to put things in their mouth. Of course, any nasal regurgitation that is frequent, that would be a high concern. And any motor difficulties with feeding, meaning if they are having difficulty moving their hands to bring that food to their mouth. These are all things that you would want to go seek out expertise for from a speech therapist or an occupational therapist who can really help to find the etiology of these difficulties and then try to help your child through some structured therapy sessions. Some of my favorite resources on feeding are Feeding Littles and Solid Starts. If you have really small kids, Solid Starts actually has a whole app. This one is specifically about baby led weaning, but the app has been created to provide parents with information on how to prep foods for your kids. She also has a really great podcast that I have benefited from when it comes to feeding and introducing foods to my own kids. I hope this was all helpful for you. I definitely plan to share more resources for parents and caregivers, so please follow along and subscribe, and I will see you next time.